This is your webinar on Google Classroom Level 3, and if you've attended the past 2 weeks, you'll know that this is kind of your more advanced webinar. Thank you guys for coming tonight. My name is Katie Kapler, and Megan Abbott is going to be facilitating our chat today. We're both professional learning specialists with 5-Star. Just a few things before we kind of get started to help you get oriented with our webinar. You'll want to pay attention to some of the buttons that you have on your screen. So if at any time during the webinar you want to access the chat, all you have to do is scroll to the bottom of the webinar screen and you should see the word chat in the bottom panel. It's kind of in the center. If you have any questions or you want to see what others are asking, you can always open that up and then move it to the side and follow along during the webinar. You can open and close that as many times as you need to, just so that you can see what's going on, what other people are asking, or that you can post a question if you have one. Right now, you are muted. If at any time you wish to unmute yourself, you can click on the microphone icon in the bottom left-hand corner. There's also a video camera icon near that corner. And so if you don't want people to see you, if you want your camera turned off, you can go ahead and click that and it will turn off your video camera as well. At the top of your screen, you should see a small green bar that says you are viewing my screen. And next to that is the word more. If you click on it, you can exit the full screen and reposition the webinar window where you want it on your monitor, so that way it's not taking up your whole screen if you don't want it to. You might also have a panel of thumbnail videos on the right side of your screen, and this shows everyone who's a part of the webinar. There are icons at the top of that panel that allow you to condense those or just see the presenter's video, so feel free to adjust any of those how you'd like for the webinar. So today, we are going to cover Google Classroom Level 3 skills, which means that this is pretty advanced stuff in Google Class webinars. In the previous webinars, we covered how to set up our classes, how to have students join our classes, how to post announcements and assignments, and then how to set up your About section. Today, we're really going to focus heavily on how to help your students find and use important elements of Google Classroom, and you'll learn how to export grades in your classroom to a CSV file, which is like an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can import those grades into your student information system, which is like your school's grading system. We'll also take a close look at how to collaborate and communicate with students to provide effective feedback for them. The last thing we'll do, we'll take just a few minutes to kind of look at the Google Classroom app that you can use on an iPad, an iPhone, or any other smartphone, smart device. We'll kind of take a look at those things. So actually, to begin using Google Classroom, and many of you, if you have already been in here, you know that you are going to need to open a web browser. And oops, we don't need that yet. You're going to want to open a web browser, and you're going to want to go to classroom.google.com, and you're going to want to go ahead and log in to your classroom so you can kind of follow along with the things that we are doing today. I'll give you guys just a few minutes. If you want to go ahead and get logged in, you can do that. You'll see your teacher account that you've created in the past. Someone's getting crazy with their annotations there, drawing all over my screen. Okay, once you're logged in, like I said, you'll see your teacher screen. And in the last 2 weeks, we've covered a lot of the tools for the teachers. But one major task you will have when you first start using Google Classroom is helping your students be comfortable with the elements of Classroom on their end. So while most students are really good at figuring out tech-related things on their own, and you guys know that, it will really benefit you both to walk them through some of the most important aspects of Google Classroom when you start using it with your students. This is also a really good time to discuss like basic digital citizenship skills and appropriate use of online tools. So let's just quickly review from the student's point of view how to find some of the most important aspects. So I'm basically going to live in my student, I'm going to log in as a student, and I'm kind of going to live in that for a little bit while we're going through this. So it might look a little bit different than what you have. I want to remind you once I switch over to this that you will not see a student view unless you have joined a class as a student. And you can do that if you want to just test things out. You can always join a colleague's class and get into the student view, so that way you can kind of play around with it and see what they're seeing. Either way, I'm going to log in as a student, and I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the elements and show you what your students would see if they are logged in. So let's see. So right now, I've switched over to my own student view. This is me. I'm only taking one class. I know that because if I hover over my menu, it says enrolled, and it shows me the classes that I am enrolled in. So this would show the classes that I'm in. When students first get into their Google Classroom, they have a couple of things that they can do. Right now, you see that my picture is just this little head icon. If students want to change their profile picture in settings, they can always do that. So you can have them click on their menu, click on settings, and here they can change their profile picture. So they can upload one, they can take one from their camera, whatever works best for them. But before you guys kind of go and allow them to do this, this is a really good time to kind of discuss school appropriate pictures, what's a good idea to put on the internet, what's not. You know, some of those selfies that they take may or may not be a good account picture for their Google Classroom. They can always go back to their home menu by clicking the three bars and then clicking on home. Students, when they get in, they also can join classes. If many students, especially if they're in high school or middle school, will probably be taking more than one class. So if they need to join a class, they just click the little plus button and they click join class. And I'm actually going to join another class right now. I'm going to join a math class. So I'm going to type in my code that I got from my teacher that you would give to your students or present for them. And I'm going to click join. And now I have joined Miss Abbott's math class. So now I am taking two classes. I can see that I'm enrolled in math and in language arts. So I'm going to go back to my home page here. Now, if for whatever reason I switch classes and I need to unenroll in a class, I can always do that as well as a student by clicking on these three dots here. And I can click unenroll, and then automatically I will be removed from that class. As a teacher, you also have the power to remove students if they switch or are no longer in your class, or they join by accident or whatever. You have that power. One thing that would probably be helpful to show your students is when they get into your class, you'll probably want to show them your About page, which is kind of like your main classroom resources page. This has lots of information about the class, like the room that it's in, your contact email as a teacher, and then it also gives them their Google Drive folder with all of the class assignments. Anything that they do inside of this class will be automatically put in that Google Drive folder. So it's important to kind of walk them through those things. One thing that you might want to also chat with your students about is show them how to post in the stream. So if you are allowing this, if you are going to allow students to post and comment in your class, in your class stream, you might want to talk to them a little bit about how to do that. So for example, down at the bottom, I have an announcement. I said, welcome to 8th grade language arts. In the comment section, introduce yourself and give an interesting fact. So you could kind of use this as a discussion here. So I earlier said, hi, I'm Katie. I'm a student in this class. Many people don't know that I want to travel to all 7 continents in my lifetime. And because I posted this earlier, as a student, if I'm like, oh, I don't really want this here, I can always delete my comment. But before you have students do this, again, this is a really good time to kind of talk about appropriate ways to add to discussions online. What kind of language should you be using? Should you be using textling, like, C for SEE or U for YOU? Things like that is a kind of a good place to have that discussion with your students. And you'll notice as this goes down, my teacher replied to me, and they actually put a plus sign here in front of my name because they wanted to reply directly to me. So if you want to have a conversation, if you're having a whole class conversation with 30 students, if someone wants to respond just to another student, they can click in their add comments and they can click their plus sign. And eventually what will happen is anyone that you are included in, so if I wanted to reply back to my teachers, which would be my webinars account, I would just start typing it in and it brings up their name, and then I could reply back directly to this teacher. And I'll tell them I will send some pictures when I go to all the continents, and then I click post. Something else you'll notice too is when I hover over someone else's, I have this little arrow, meaning I could directly reply to them, so I wouldn't have to click that plus button or type that in. It would automatically have me reply back to them. Or if I wanted to respond to the whole class, I could just add a totally new comment. So this is where students go ahead and do that. Again, remember, as a teacher, you have the ability to turn off or on the student's ability to do this, and that's in your students section of your class. Last thing I kind of wanted to review is how students can find their assignments. If they click their menu button up at the top, they can see all of their assignments, so they can click here. And right now, this is going to show me my work in my to-do, all the work I have to do in all of my classes. Now, if I only wanted to see work in my language arts class, I could just select that, and it would show me the upcoming assignments that I have to do here. Any work that I have done is done in my done folder. Obviously, I'm already finished. I have a grade on it. Wahoo, I got a B. Way to go. And so these are my assignments here. Students can also find their assignments in their stream. You'll notice here, this one is due tomorrow, and I haven't yet done it yet. It shows it in the corner, whereas up here it says it's returned, so I have already completed that assignment. Students can see that there. So right now, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to complete this assignment because it's due tomorrow, yikes, and I haven't finished it. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this. So this assignment, it says, how will you make it count? So there's a couple directions my teacher has given me. Watch the YouTube video called Make It Count. It's a Nike video. I'm not going to play it. It's kind of long, but it's kind of cool for a beginning of the year video. So I'm supposed to watch it and read carefully. So apparently there's things that I'm supposed to read as I go through. I'm then supposed to open the Google presentation, find the slide with your name on it, and then add your favorite school-appropriate, notice, quote about life similar to those used in the video. And the teacher has given me an example to use. And then I'm also supposed to create a Google document and write a well-written paragraph explaining how I can make this year count. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to do this assignment. So I could click here on it. I could click open. Either way, it'll take me to my assignment. So here I have my work. This is where I actually do the work, but the instructions, there was other things I know I was supposed to do. So first of all, I would pretend like I watched this video. Yay, it's so great, it's so inspiring. And then it asked me to add something to the Google presentation, which is attached. So I would click on this, and it'll open the presentation that my teacher has shared with me. And so this is kind of something that all the students will be collaborating on. So my teacher has allowed me to edit this. So I could go through and I could change all of these, but she's been so smart and put all of our names on the slide so we know exactly which one to go to. So here is Ms. Kapler's example. She gave us this lovely quote about life. I'm supposed to do the same thing. So I would add a quote here, and that would take care of that part of the assignment. But my teacher also asked me to create a Google document and write a well-written paragraph explaining how you can make this year count. And my teacher did not give me a document to work off from. So that means I'm gonna need to go back to your work and I'm gonna actually have to create something. So I'm not adding anything. Right now I'm not adding something from my drive or a link, or I'm not uploading a file. I'm actually creating something. So I'm gonna actually click on create a document. And my teacher has asked me to talk about how will I make it count. And notice it automatically puts my name on it. Phew, good. I'm one of those students who always forget to put my name on things, right? I forget to title it. Google Docs, thank you very much. It already has done it for you. So I'm going to click on this. It's going to take me to my document. And here I'm supposed to write a well-written paragraph about making it count. So my name is Katie. I'm going to work hard this year and turn in all of my assignments. I'll be so smart. And so here's my well-written paragraph, 3 sentences as an 8th grader, right? That's gonna cut it. So if I feel like I'm done, I can turn this into my teacher a couple of ways. The really cool thing is Google Docs and Google Classroom allows the student to turn it in right here in the document. They don't have to go back and forth between their classroom. So as a student, I could just click turn in, and it's going to open a new window for me. So it takes me back to my classroom. Here's my document. that I am submitting. It says it's one attached. And here I can also add a private comment to my teacher. So I could say, sorry it's late. Oops. I could leave a nice comment that says, really excited about the beginning of the year, whatever it is. This is a conversation just between the student and the teacher, so only those people can see it. So whenever I'm done, I just click turn in. Here, you can see that now I am done with the assignment. And I know it's due tomorrow, but the good thing is I'm done, so that's good. And if I want to leave my comment, I can do that. If I want to add another private comment, or if I want to delete my comment, I'm like, yeah, the teacher doesn't really need to know that. I can always do this here. I can always revisit my document too by clicking on this. But when students submit to the teacher, once I have turned this in, I cannot edit it again until my teacher goes in and actually returns it back to me. So I'm like, oh shoot, I probably should have wrote more than 3 sentences. That wasn't very good. I can unsubmit this. I can choose to take it back basically. So I can click unsubmit, and I definitely want to unsubmit this. And now it says it's unsubmitted. So right now my work is not turned in. So I can return back to my work. And I can add to this because I know that as an 8th grader, 3 sentences is no good. I'm not allowed to do that. Oh, right now I'm a view only. So that's right, because my teacher has not turned this back to me. So I am not able to edit this right now in this document. That's right. So I could always create a new document. I could try it again and turn in something else. That might work out just fine. That would probably be okay. And when I'm done, I can then click turn in. And eventually my teacher will see that I have done this and submitted my work. Yes, I'm sure I want to turn it in this time. Absolutely. Okay. So I'm going to pause here for just a minute. I'll go back to the teacher's point of view when we switch back here. But if you have any questions about the student view or how to assist students with the Google Classroom on their end, this is a great time to post those in the chat. I'm going to kind of take a look at what's been going on in the chat, and then we'll move on back at the teacher view in just a minute. Yeah, Megan, thanks for posting that link to that video in there. If you got time, definitely check out that video. It's from Nike. It's just a short 4-minute video. It's kind of cool. Okay, if you don't have any other questions about the student view, I'm going to switch back to my teacher view, kind of change roles here, and we'll kind of take a look at how to collaborate and provide feedback for your students in more than one submission. We'll kind of take a look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back. Okay. So now I'm back in my teacher view. I know that because it says teaching here in my menu, so it shows me which classes I'm actually teaching. And one really great benefit of using Google Classroom is the ability to provide feedback to your students in multiple ways. Like, it's not just one way that you can do it here. So rather than just giving an assignment and having students turn it in once, and then you provide them with a final grade without much or any feedback, and they're like, what the heck, I got an F, and they didn't know that. Using Classroom's tools help you send an assignment back and forth between you and the student multiple times. So this is really great for promoting like a growth mindset, but it also ensures that students are really learning and refining their skills. So let's take a look. I'm going to go into my language arts class that I am now teaching. And I'm gonna look at the make it count assignment that my student just turned in. Here I can see that I have one student who is done and one student who is not. Well, that's fine because it's still, they got till tomorrow to work on it, but this is the student who is finished. So I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna click right on here, and I can automatically see who is done or not done with this assignment. It's in my student work tab here. So right now I'm showing assignments that are done or returned. That's great. And right now I can see, oh, Megan, she has not done her assignment yet. She better get on that, right? If I wanted to, I could click on send a note here. So I see that Megan is not finished, and I could send a note to any student who isn't done just to remind them to get going on their assignment, like, don't forget, this is due tomorrow. And again, this is just a private conversation between you and the student. Other students in the class cannot see this. For my student who is done, I can click on their name and open their work by clicking on the attached Google document. So I know that Katie Cather, good student right here, she is done. I can see the comment that she left me. Sorry, it's late. Oops. Luckily, it wasn't. So I can open this and say, not late. Great job. And I could share this. Oh, except for I should really spell that right. So I can edit this. Good thing. Shoo. Teacher who can't spell. Save. There we go. So now I can do this, and I can actually open my student's assignment right here by clicking on their document. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take a look. And if this was an ongoing assignment, if this is something that I wanted my students to work at and really get a good grade on, I mean, I could easily just give them a grade and say, whoa, geez, this is not a well-written paragraph. This is not indented. This does not have multiple sentences. I don't see any transition words. All those things that you want your students to do in their writing, it's not done here. So I want my students to perfect this. I want them to really work at this. So I could do that a couple of ways. First of all, this is kind of our Google Docs skills. I could just comment on the work in the document. So I could highlight the beginning here. I could click on this little button right here. It says insert comment. I can do that. And here I can actually insert a comment for my students. So don't forget to indent. And then I add my comment, and now my student, Katie, would be able to see that they forgot to indent. You could do that anywhere that the students have written, so you could keep adding comments anywhere on your document that they need to. If you're really fancy and you use something called Kaizena, it's a Google add-on. You could even leave a recorded oral feedback for the student. So you could like record your voice and say, hey, notice you forgot to indent, and leave that as a comment. Kind of cool. It's in your add-ons if you ever want to play around with those. You could also add feedback at the end of the document in a new color, because as the teacher, once they have turned this into you, you have the ability to edit this document. So I might change my font color just to something else like blue and say, this is a good start. But I noticed you could add more detail. And here the student would be able to see this as well. You could do it that way if you wanted to. The last thing that you could do is if you wanted to go back to your classroom, you could add a private comment here. So you could, at this point, you could say, notice you didn't indent. I noticed that maybe you need to add some more detail here. Go back and fix it. That would be fine. Now, that's a useful tool. It is great to be able to add these private comments, but I think it's probably more effective for a student to see the specific feedback right there in their document, because when they open it, they can see exactly what they need to fix or work on instead of flipping back and forth between multiple windows. So when you're ready to return the feedback to the students, all you have to do is simply select the students you want to return work to. So I want to return this to Katie. And I didn't put a grade in here yet. I could, out of 100, I could say, maybe it's like a 60, but I'm not really ready to provide a grade yet because I want Katie to really take ownership over this document, go back and edit it and rework it so that way it is better. So all I would do is select Katie, and then I would click return. You do not have to have a grade in here at this point. Remember, you can always make your assignments ungraded as well. So if it's just like a simple task that you want them to do without having it be a grade, you can always have that selection. It's up to you. So I will click return. And again, here I could add a personal note. So again, another place that I could provide feedback to my students, like, don't forget to indent, really liked what you had to say, but see if you could add some more detail. Whatever it is, you have lots of places that you can actually provide feedback for your students. And once I have done that, I can click return. Okay, I'm just going to pause real quick. I'm going to kind of take a look at the chat. If you have any questions about where or how to provide feedback for your students, you can do that. And then if you can put that in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask those out loud, and then we'll keep going in just a few minutes. Yes, Megan says in the chat that she's a slacker. It's okay. I'm just picking on you, Megan. And someone asked about the audio recording add-on again. Yeah, it's called Kaizenna. I'm not sure how people pronounce it. It's pretty cool, especially if you're an English teacher and you were grading multiple essays over and over and over again. Rather than typing in your feedback, you can always just leave oral feedback. It's pretty cool. Any other questions about student feedback, how to provide it for them, where you could do that? If not, I'm going to go ahead and move on in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my student view just real quick. I want to make sure that as a student, my teacher, I know that my teacher has returned it to me, because in my stream, I can see that it's returned. And so if I want to see if I got a grade on it, I can open it. And I notice that there's no grade. So I'm going to actually open this document here again and see what my teacher has said. And I noticed they said, oh, don't forget to indent. I'm like, oh, shoot, I really should have done that. This is a good start, but notice you could add more detail. And at this point, that's where I probably would go back. I would indent. I would add more detail. I would obviously make this a well-written paragraph. And then I would be able to resubmit that to my teacher. So here, once I've done that, I can add comments, improve my work. Thanks for the feedback. I could post it, and then I can resubmit my work to the teacher. And the nice thing is, as a teacher, I can see every single time my students submit, resubmit, unsubmit. I can see that as a teacher in my teacher view, so that way you really know what students are doing. And yes, I would like to turn this in again and resubmit my work. All right, Google Classroom, let's get a move on here. Okay. One other thing we're going to kind of take a look at today is we are going to look at how to export your grades from Classroom, so that way you could put them into your own student information system, like your own grading system that your school uses. So I will need to make sure that my students have grades in here. So I'm actually going to go back in my teacher view, and I'm going to put a grade in here for Katie because she improved her work. Good job. So I'm going to give her a 90 out of 100 now. And I'm going to make sure I return that so that she can see her grade. And if I'm done with all my grades here and I feel like, okay, I'm ready to put this into the gradebook, whether it's PowerSchool or Edline or whatever it is that your students use, you have this feature in Classroom that allows you to transfer your grades to most of them. So I'm actually going to go up here when I'm ready to export my grades to a CSV file, which is like a comma separated value. That's what it means, basically. I'm going to click this download button, and you can do this inside of any assignment. It doesn't matter which one you're in. And you can download your grades for this assignment or all of your assignments. And it's up to you. If you're waiting till the very end of the quarter to do all of your grades, this might be the option. But for now, I'm just going to download it for this assignment. So I'm going to click on that. And this is going to make, it's going to download something to my computer. And if you're in Chrome, you'll notice that the downloads come down here at the bottom of your window, and you can open it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and open this. And because I'm on a Mac and I don't have any, I don't have Microsoft, it opens it in Pages for me. So here I can see the names of my students, their email address, the grade that they got. So I can see that Katie got a 90% on this, students who were not done, or students that had their stuff returned. And then any comments that were added are also here. Now, really, you don't have to do anything with this document. It's basically just transferring it to a new file, so that way you can import it to your information system to put the grades in. So I don't even really need to open this. If you have Microsoft products, you would open this in Excel. It would look a little bit different. So I don't need this, so I'm actually going to get out of here. Now, at this point, when you're ready to import your grades, I can't actually show you that because I don't have access to all of your different grading systems that you guys use. But in most cases, there should be an option to import documents with the file name CSV. If you're not really sure how to do that, or you're not sure where to put those grades, I would talk to your technology director at your schools so they can help you import those grades for your specific system, as each one is kind of a little bit different. At this point, I'm just going to pause for a quick second. Do you have any questions about downloading grades or any of the functions that I've covered so far? Feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself, whatever works for you. Okay, if there aren't any other questions about downloading your grades, exporting them from Google Classroom, there's one more thing that I do want to show you today, and that's, so we're going to switch gears a little bit here, and I'm going to show you what the classroom looks like on a mobile app. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here from my phone. I'm using an iPhone, and I will kind of show you what that looks like. Give me just a second to get that open. Let's see here. Okay, I promise you this worked earlier because I tested it like 3 times. So let's just hope that it works right now. No, of course not. Oh, great. Okay.
Katie, I can, if you want me to, I can take over and do it on my iPad.
Hey, that would be awesome if you wanted to do that. For whatever reason, I can't get my AirPlay to work on my phone.
I understand.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Let me get it set up. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, will you turn over hosting rights to me?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. I think you should be able to go now.
Okay. Share screen. Oh, it says I can't share while you're sharing. So you have to unshare yours.
Okay.
And then I'll start mine.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so now you guys see my screen, and I'm going to minimize all this. And the way I show my iPad is I use this extra program called Reflector because I don't have an Apple TV. So just for any of you guys that have an iPad, but if you don't have an Apple TV, and this program does cost money. I forget if it's a monthly fee or what. I don't personally pay it. It comes out of the school. So I don't know. Okay. So there we go. Let me do this. Okay, so Google Classroom. So I'm just showing them like the student side of it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So there is an app, and I know there's an app for iPad. I'm sure there's one for Android devices as well. And so the Google Classroom app looks like this with the little classroom icon. And I'm in here as a student. Okay, so when the students log in, this is their home page. And so each class that they have is separated by the theme for that class. So I can see that this particular student, which is the student account we have through 5-star. So this particular student is in 3 classes. They're in Miss Abbott's 8th grade math, and I can see that there are some upcoming assignments for that class. They're in Mr. Bradley's demo class, but there's no upcoming assignments for that. And they're in Mrs. York's 6th grade classroom, and there are no upcoming assignments for that. So the student can like tap on one of the classes, and it just takes them to that class. They still have these 3 sections like they did on the computer: stream, classmates, and about. So in the stream here, they can see any assignments that the teacher posted. And if like this is an assignment, if they need to do it, like they've already done all of these, but they can go back into the assignment just by tapping on it. And I'm moving my cursor on the computer, but wherever I move the cursor, I'm actually tapping on my iPad. So I don't want to deceive you there. The assignment still has 2 sections: instructions and your work. The student has received the assignment back from the teacher with a score of a 90 out of 100. I can see that the student attached, a Google Doc to it and a picture, and these comments were the private comments. So like Katie was showing you how you can give feedback to the students privately, and the students can give you messages privately through the assignment. This is how it looks on the iPad. The student, even though this assignment has been returned, the student can now open it up. And since we're on an iPad, this will actually open in Google Docs. Okay, and there it is. It's doing its thing here. And this was a demo assignment I used earlier. So the student could continue to edit it if they need to, just by tapping in it and typing. My iPad's trying to catch up here. It's not letting me type. Okay. And okay, that's great. I have another app interrupting me here. Actually, I'm gonna go back to Classroom. There we go. I think that in order to edit it, I actually needed to unsubmit it. Yeah, I'm going to unsubmit it to add or change my attachments. Don't forget to resubmit it when I'm done. So I'm going to unsubmit it. There we go. Then I can open up that assignment and make some changes to it. Actually, it said view only again. I should be able to type on that.
I found that today too, Megan, when I was playing around with it. Apparently, the teacher has to return the work to the student before they can go back and edit their document. So it's almost like you would have to make a new document, like start over.
I thought I had returned it to that student.
I don't know.
Because I got the grade. Maybe I don't know. It's acting a little weird there. So, yeah, even if I have to create a new one, I can always do that. So anyway, I still see these two sections, instructions and your work. So that's that assignment. I can post to the stream if the teacher has given me permission to do so. So again, remember, I'm in here as a student. And to post to the stream, you actually tap on this plus sign down here, which I did not intuitively think that. I mean, it took me a few seconds to be like, where do I post? And then I saw the plus sign because I was looking up at the top for that, like it is on the computer. But on the iPad, you click on the plus sign down here, and this is posting to the stream of the class. So maybe that's part of the assignment that the teacher wanted the student to do that. Remember, the teacher can set those permissions on the back end. So I could share with the class, you know, a picture or something. I can add attachments. I can add something from my Google Drive, a link to a website, or a photo of something. I don't know. Let's post a picture. If you saw some pictures of me laying on a floor, don't worry, I was okay. That was for a project at a conference. Kind of funny. At the Google Summit, if any of you went, it was great. So we're just using the iPad. It's a little bit different from the computer, but on the student's end, it does the exact same stuff. I wouldn't necessarily use the iPad as the teacher. In fact, there are some things you can't do from the teacher side, like you can't create an assignment on the iPad and you can't grade on the iPad. You could post an announcement or something from your iPad or from your phone, but the other functionality stuff you have to do from a computer. So that picture uploaded, so now I can post it. And post was in the upper right-hand corner. Is there anything else you want me to show?
No, I think that was all I was going to do, just show them how it looks for the students when they get in there.
I'm sorry that assignment wasn't working. I'm sure that if I had one that hadn't been like done and returned, it would be normal.
If you have any questions about like what it looks like on an iPad or an Android or an iPhone or something, feel free. You can always post them in the chat, or you can, you know, unmute yourself and add them here, whatever works for you. Okay. Okay. I think Megan mentioned this too. One thing she did say was like when you guys are going through and you're using this as a teacher, you don't have all the same editing rights, but you know, it's still pretty handy for the kids to basically have their classroom in their pocket. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So one great thing that I want you to remember is, as you guys, because this is kind of our last webinar on Google Classroom, is if you ever get stuck about how to do something in Classroom, all you have to do is like Google search Classroom Help, and then you can search all of Google's tools that way, and that way you can see their support page, which is pretty nice. So we'll kind of hang out here for a little bit, but this is really the end of our webinar tonight. We really appreciate you guys joining us. The good news is if you've participated in all of these, you're basically like a Google Classroom expert now. So just take a few minutes to complete the feedback form. The website for it is on your screen. You can type it in, or you can click on the website link that Megan's going to post in the chat there. If you are watching the recording webinar, you will just need to type in the URL that you see on the screen to take the feedback survey. You also can register for next week's webinar. We're going to do a webinar on Nearpod, which is a teacher-led presentation tool that allows students to kind of follow along and interact on their own devices as you go through the presentation. It's pretty cool. It also has built-in assessments to kind of keep the students engaged and gives you a quick chance to check for understanding as you go through. I really kind of recommend you guys to check that out. And you can also register for the webinars in May. There's no more Google tools, but lots of different web apps that you guys can use. And those links are also on the screen that you can go ahead and type in or click on the links in the chat. So we'll stay around for a little while longer if you have any remaining questions or you want us to show you a skill one more time. Thanks for bearing with us as our devices were kind of trying to connect here. And we appreciate you guys coming, and thanks again for showing up. Okay, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop our webinar. Thank you guys again for coming. We appreciate it.